गणानां त्वा गणपतिगुं हवामहे कविं कवीनामुपमश्रवस्तमं ज्येष्ठराजं ब्रह्मणस्पत आनः शृण्वन् नोतिभिः सीदसादनं प्रणो देवी सरस्वती वाजेभिर्वाजिनीवती दीनामवित्रयवतु गणेशाय नमः सरस्वत्यै नमः श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ओम् सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावतीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः साईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः सर्वः प्रचोदयात् साईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः सर्वः प्रचोदयात् साईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः सर्वः प्रचोदयात् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः
प्रथम वंदना गौरी नंदन प्रथम वंदना गौरी नंदन हे शिवनंदन पाहि गजानन हे शिवनंदन पाहि गजानन प्रथम वंदना गौरी नंदन प्रथम वंदना गौरी नंदन एकदंत गुणवंत विनायक एकदंत गुणवंत विनायक विघ्नहरण शुभमंगल चरणा विघ्नहरण शुभमंगल चरणा प्रणव स्वरूपा पाहि गजानन प्रणव स्वरूपा पाहि गजानन प्रथम वंदना गौरी नंदन।
Om Shri Sai Ram. My humble pranams at the lotus feet of our loving Bhagwan and praying to him to help us become aware of his constant presence in the 16th Satsang of the Vidyavahini family. A very, very loving Sai Ram to all. I would like to first call upon our beloved sister, Srimati Karunavanshi ji, Director, Sri Satya Sai Vidyavahini, to set the context for today's very special Satsang. Over to you, sister. Saira, can you unmute yourself, sister?
Om Shri Sai Ram. Thank you, Radhika. Salutations at the divine lotus feet of our divine director, Bhagwan Shri Satya Sai Baba. My dear fellow pilgrims who have jumped into the course of this sacred river, this Vahini of Vidya, to reach the ocean, which is our final destination. Let me take your minds back to March, April, May of 2021. Second wave of COVID had gripped our country. Almost everyone in the Vidya Vahini family had a family member, a friend, a colleague, or a neighbor fighting for their lives due to the attack of the coronavirus. Every day, throughout the day and late into the night, our members were facing challenges finding hospital beds, oxygen cylinders, and such. Many sisters and brothers kept calling me, messaging me with their worries and woes. I could do very little to help them on the ground, but most of you reached out to me asking me to pray to Swami. So my standard answer, of course, was to remind you that Bhagwan is in your own hearts and he's listening to you right now as we're speaking. And I really don't have any special hotline to him. But since I was in a very sacred location of Prashantinilayam, they felt good asking me to pray, which I did to the best of my ability. Meanwhile, through all the work, all the calls, all the consoling, the counseling, I was myself suffering from COVID-19, as was my husband. But I didn't announce it because we got a false negative result. And there were so many panic bells going on in Vidya Vahini, and I didn't feel it was appropriate for me to add one more. One day, during one of our many calls related to work, I think it was Dr. Chandra who asked me why I was so short of breath and why I looked so sickly. So I dismissed saying that is some sort of a flu, which actually COVID is also a kind of flu. So no one else knew of my own struggles and sickness except Swami, of course. During this period, I realized more than ever how hard it is to cope with so much of fear, anxiety, sorrow, and pain. We were all isolated. My own family members who were working from home were in a separate part of the house from my husband and I. That sense of insecurity, a sense of vulnerability as mere mortals. The big question was, will life ever be the same again? Will we ever return to what we knew as normal life? You know, sitting together, talking to each other without fearing somebody spewing germs at me and without a face mask and all that, sanitizer and all. And the body ache and the fever and the shortness of breath and constantly putting an oximeter to check what is my oxygen level. All this was bothering me. And I was running low on strength, on positivity to continuously console and counsel and motivate others. You have to have your own cup full and overflowing before you can pour out into another. You can't pour from an empty cup, isn't it? It was a warlike situation for all of us, including myself. And as always, what do we do in our families when we are faced with danger and fear? We huddle together. We hold each other in support. And given the situation we were in, no one could come to Puttaparthi for Baba's darshan themselves. Even living in Puttaparthi, I was not going to the ashram. So I discussed with Brother Subbu if we should have a support group kind of a session, online session, where we can comfort and support each other and remind each other of how much we need to hold on to Swami's lotus feet and how we have a divine protection around us. We needed some hope. We needed a ray of light. We all knew Bhagwan is in us, around us, above us, but we needed to be reminded of it again, over and over again. And it had to be digital so that everyone could join from wherever they were in whichever respective isolation ward or home. And thus was born the first family satsang that Sister Rashri Natarajan, Brother V.L. Subramanian, better known as Subbu, and Brother Kannan initiated. And today we are into the 16th monthly session, the 16th session of a very successful initiative of the Vidya Vahini family, the monthly family satsang. In hindsight, what seemed like a response to a crisis situation is nothing short of a digital gathering of the purest soul, the greatest sevaks of the Paripurna Avatar, Bhagwan Shri Satya Sai Baba. I'm sure in Vedic ages, great rishis and munis sat in big circles and discussed their spiritual progress and how they were receiving the messages of Vedam, downloading them, and they were dressed differently. They had different hairdo and different setting. And today we are all in our own comforts of our air-conditioned, comfortable homes and with our laptops in front of us. And we are doing the same digitally. Time has changed, but purpose of human life and our values have not. All our currently active volunteers are nothing short of hand-picked, divinely trained Rishi Munis who have come to accompany the avatar to fulfill his sankalpa. And I believe that from my heart. Everyone is performing their individual Vidyavahini Seva in the quietude of their homes. Our homes are our caves of sadhana. Our offices in Prashantanilayam are our sadhana coves. And then we also learn from our peers on how to swim better in this Vahini, this river of knowledge, through the support system within our respective teams, whether it's content or training or multimedia or IT or inclusive education, any team, whatever. And finally, each month we have a larger General Assembly kind of outpouring of love and discussion for our boss, the one we report to at every step, when we are working alone, when we are working in a small team or the big team. We all have one boss, and he's the divine director of Vidyavahini, Bhagwan, his divine worship, Bhagwan Sri Satya Sai Baba. Through these sessions, we hear Bhagwan speak to us through many voices. I'm sure you'll agree with me that all our queries get answered and our doubts get cleared when our sisters and brothers share their experiences, and many of these experiences resonate with the rest of us, and our cup of joy overflows, and we go to bed charged and inspired on the night of the satsang, and we are ready and waiting to get up the next morning and serve his mission with deeper love and more selflessness. There can't be a better exercise or use of time than this, I believe. On a more mundane note, it has helped me personally, the satsang, to connect faces to names in each team. I watch and rewatch each satsang, my secret thing I'm revealing, to try and remember what every person or the name that I know of on each group looks like. Because due to remote nature of our teams, we don't meet often enough for me to recognize every face and connect it to the exact right name of 1,500 active volunteers of the Vidyavahini family. This is a growing family, so I really need to keep up, and satsangs are a great opportunity for me to do that. I like to congratulate the coordination team. From the beginning till now, there have been moved, the coordination team has also grown, and every vertical of Vidyavahini and every state team that has hosted the family satsang, congratulations and thanks to you. We, as you can see, our way of functioning is based on decentralized empowerment, and every episode is yet another expression of loving excellence that has become synonymous with Sri Satya Sai Vidyavahini. This approach applies to our monthly family satsang as well. Many voices, varied perspectives, myriad ways to express love for the one and only apple of all our eyes, our beloved, bewitchingly beautiful Bhagwan Sri Satya Sai Baba. May he always guide and guard us and lead us onwards and decide on the future course of the Vahini that he has unleashed from the matted locks of his beautiful hair. Our Lord, to that Lord Sai Shiva I bow. Thank you and Sairam, my dear sisters and brothers.
Sairam, thank you, ma'am, for those really, really wonderful words. Keeping our cups full so that we may provide others. What a profound thought of satsang. Amazing. Actually, if you can recollect, when Avayar, a poetess of the medieval ages, was asked by Lord Muruga, "Tell me what is sweet?" She replies, "Sweet is solitude. Sweeter is to meditate upon God, and sweeter still is the company of wise people and to follow them." So what is it about the satsang that makes the wise poetess quote thus, and even renowned Adi Shankaracharya compose verses in Bhajagovindam about it? Why is it that our beloved Bhagwan spends so much of time coaxing us to dwell on this? So do you think that satsang is important in our frame of work at Vidyavahini? So let us now hear it from some of our brothers and sisters today. I now invite our very inspiring Sri Vidya sister to dwell on her musings of satsang and its true impact. Over to you, sister.
Thank you, Radhika. Om Shri Sai Ram. My most humble and loving salutation at Bhagwan's lotus feet. Thanks to Vidyavahini and the Satsangs team for giving me yet another opportunity. If you were asked to, decipher the meaning of satsang, most of us would say that satsang is good company. It also means sat as in truth, the company of truth. So for me, satsang is really the company of truth itself. Yes, we do learn a lot by listening to the experiences and how other people connect to Swami's teachings through satsang, by listening to them. But for me, my experience has been that the sangat with Sat, that is the sangat with truth, that I really experienced most, or I really connected most, was when I myself was preparing for satsangs. So that whole journey, that preparation, helped me to connect to my inner truth. It helped me to become more aware, become more conscious, and become have clarity towards that inner journey, towards that inner Sat. Uh, Educational theory or educational research says that 90% of our learning happens only by teaching. Because when we teach, we have to plan, prepare, we have to plan our delivery, we have to interact, we have to receive feedback, and we also have to incorporate this feedback and get into a mode of self-assessment and self-reflection. And for me, all this happens when I prepare for satsang. So 90% of the learning for me and connecting to Swami's teaching happens by this preparation itself. And most of the time when we prepare for satsangs, we start reflecting back on those very, very precious, most valuable divine experiences that we had. That few seconds that we had when Swami looked into our eyes, or gave us that most beautiful smile, or gave us that pada namaskaram, which is like, we are talking about multi-sensory learning and all. I think that was like the best thing that could have happened to any of your senses. And that few interactions or what input he would have given you when there was an interview or something. So every time that word satsang takes me back to all those experiences to reflect on them. And every time I sit and reflect on them and prepare for a satsang, I realize that this whole Vidyavahini journey is a mirage. Because every time I think, okay, this milestone has been achieved, Swami has guided us and His grace has blessed us to reach here, there is the mirage shifts and there is more travel, there is more journey. So that is happening both externally and internally. And I always believe that, yes, we have been given this blessing of being instruments in some way to perform some seva for Swami, this divine seva. But this satsang helps me as an instrument. It provides that, that instrument for me to also do some repair work internally, because there is a lot of repair work to be done internally also. So that is the truth for me. That is the satsang for me. Sai Ram, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, sister. Preparation for satsang was the beginning of the road to everlasting satsang. Beautifully brought out, sister. Thank you for sharing your honest experiences. Usha Raghavan, sister, may we hear from you how powerful a tool satsang has proved to you?
Yeah. Sai Ram, everybody. Why satsang is required for Vidyavahini? Vidyavahini runs on volunteerism, and we have three big responsibilities. One, to live up to Swami's expectations. Secondly, commitment without expectations. And thirdly, the whole world is watching us, so we have to be role models. Other than this, we have to ingrain in ourselves the feeling that whatever we do, whether it is PPT creation or content writing or the training that we give, these are just pathways to transform us, to refine us, and to lead us to the ultimate goal, that is Swami. So to enable all these, we need motivation, we need inspiration. So that is why satsang is very important. And here in this platform, we like-minded person congregate and we have open discussion, which also help us a lot in correcting our errors and coming out as a good human being. And at the end of the satsang, we get a feeling of fulfillment. It is like coming from Patiyatra, the energy to that we can give more. Okay, so that is about satsang, and I would like to share my personal experience. I've not shared this with anybody. This is the first platform where I'm sharing it. I used to be very angry with a person. That person is no more. And that anger used to torment me. It used to give me sleepless night, and that feeling, that heavy feeling, and a feeling of guilt, because by nature I don't get angry at all. But this was eating me, and I used to tell Swami, somehow remove it. But it went on years after year, and the person is not alive, but still that anger persisted. Then I happened to attend the satsang of Swami Omkarananda on Bhagavad Gita. And it was as if Swamiji was telling me, see, if you have anger against anybody, even if that person is not alive, just go and tell that I have forgiven you. That I did. I went and told that I have forgiven you, and you won't believe that enmity, that anger completely vanished. I got a feeling of happiness and lightness, and I could sleep properly. So this is my experience. Thank you, Saira.
Thank you so much, sister. Taking responsibilities. Yes, it is indeed a sadhana that fans the effects of satsang and kind of reaffirms its transformatory powers, as you just rightly mentioned. Thank you, Isha sister, for planting those seeds of thought. Let us now hear from Radhika Rani sister, who has another interesting viewpoint on satsang and its effect. Sister?
Loving Sairam to all. The other day, Keshwa brother asked me a question. Should we have family satsang in Vidya Vahini? I said yes. His next question was, why should we have it in Vidya Vahini? My answer was, well, there are many reasons that we should have the satsang, but what comes to my mind immediately is the word bonding. Every month, a different team takes up this task of preparing and presenting the satsang. In this whole process, the team has a lot of internal satsangs, starting from the initial ideas to various inputs and final presentation. Naturally, it brings the team members closer. Also, as we watch and listen to all the team members of a particular team, it brings in a lot of good feeling towards each other. His next question was, ma'am, for this bonding, we can do some team building exercise. Why satsang? For a moment, I also pondered over. And I said, yes, of course, team building exercises we can do, no doubt. But its impact is short-lived, as it is based on our ego. Whereas the bonding which happens here, especially through these satsangs, is a different kind of bonding. It is special. It is spiritual binding. And the reason is our love for Swami takes over and we experience something bigger than ourselves. You will agree with me fully when I say that each of the family members of Sri Sathya Sai Vidya Vahini has this spiritual connect with our loving Lord, Bhagwan. And through this common bonding, we all get connected. So this spiritual bonding slowly and steadily brings transformation in our lives. In each satsang, as we listen to the multifarious experiences of different individuals with Bhagwan as their focus, as the Bhagwan as the focus of their life, this spiritual bonding gets reinforced. I'm sure all the members of Vidyavani will agree with me that these satsangs play a major role in transforming our lives, and we should continue having them. I pray to Swami that to bless us all and to make us continue with all these satsangs. Thank you, Sai Ram.
Sai Ram, sister. Satsang, yes, it is indeed a way to spiritual bonding, and which is much higher than just teamwork at a physical level. So beautifully brought out, a very crisp definition, I would say. Sri Jayanti, sister, if I may invite you to share with us, what does satsang actually do to us? What is its real effect?
Thank you, Radhika. Loving Sai Ram to all of you. I resonate with most of the thoughts shared here so far, and especially with the meaning of satsang as I kept contemplating on it after this theme came up for today's satsang. And the word, as was already mentioned by Sri Vidya's sister, is the word satsang itself. Sat meaning truth and sang meaning the company. So one way I looked at it is the company that leads us to truth, or another aspect to it is to be in constant association with the truth that is God. So in the context of Vidyavani, we are all engaged with so many different kinds of work. Some of us are in content creation, training. We are all the time doing work in our own homes, in our own corners, mostly by ourselves, and accepting those calls that we all come together. We are looking at Google Sheets, we are looking at documents, books, whatnot, and in the mayhem of everything, and when we continuously do this kind of an activity, sometimes it occurs to me, where is the truth in this? Where is God in this? And it is at those moments I feel we need a boot. We know it is there, but we need that something to reboot us. And recently I happened to read a story, a Sai experience of a devotee in America who had lost his wallet, in which there was a ticket to Puttaparthi, which he had bought it with his hard-earned money. And he had lost it. He went and lodged a complaint, and everyone said that he wouldn't get it. But then finally, after his prayers and his faith, after 3 weeks, the police called him and said that his wallet is back and he could come and take it. And when he opened the wallet to check whatever was there, there was a picture of our Swami inside that. And the policeman said, "Is this the person you wanted to go and see?" He said, "Yes, this is the place I want to go to Puttaparthi to see him." And then he said, "You want to go all the way there to see him?" He just walked in a few hours back to hand over this wallet to me. And he gave it to him. No wonder the devotee was in seventh heaven. But what the thought that I had, the reflection that I had was, here was a man who had no clue that God came right in front of him. He was absolutely clueless. And there was another person who was, in that fervent bhava of praying to him, and he had the experience. Whereas for this man, it was just normal work. And then I realized, or it came to my realization, the feeling with which we engage with a particular work is most important. And in this context, I personally get, motivated by listening to so many of our sisters and brothers who do such amazing work, and the sincerity with which it comes out when they share it, the hand of Swami in it, or the teachers who have, experienced the prasadam, Bhagwan, during the course of receiving the prasadam of Vidyavahini. All this, is really sensitizes me, and it heightens my awareness. And it also reminds me of those moments which I have forgotten, when Bhagwan is always there doing the work through us, and it reminds us back, it puts him back into focus and helps me connect to that truth. And to put it in a small nutshell, if I may say, it heightens our awareness quotient. So that is the effect of satsang for me. Thank you.
Thank you, sister. Heightening our awareness. Wow, so true, isn't it? Amazing insights. In fact, awareness is just being conscious every moment of the omnipresence of God, even in our mundane activities, as you rightly highlighted. Thank you so much, Srijati sister, for sharing those thoughts. Srijana sister, how has satsang affected you? I mean, do you see yourself more aware of his constant presence in his life, in your life?
Yes, sister. Satsang for me is like a charging station, high in pure vibrations of positive energy. And during the very recently held multimedia meet in Prashanthi Nilayam, I was so blessed to be taken through Shravanam, Mananam, and Nididhyasanam of Swami's divine Leelas. On the second day, right after Mangala Aarti and Darshan, some of us came out of Kulwant Hall together outside. And then it started drizzling. And we took shelter at the South Indian canteen doors. And we waited there for the doors to be opened because we wanted to have an early dinner and then proceed to Vidyavahini Center where we were supposed to have a debriefing session. As we waited, the drizzling became a heavy downpour. And then we couldn't help but notice the words written beside the form of Lord Shiva in front of us. And that came to mean that, Ganga is coming down to bless us all. And with that happy feeling in our hearts, we went inside the South India canteen upstairs, where the Sevadals very kindly were giving us breakfast, lunch, and dinner for the 3 days. They were engaged in bhajans of Swami. And we, few of us, very luckily could take part in those bhajans. And then they asked us ladies to give Mangala Harati to Bhagavan. And what a feeling to give Mangala Harati within the Prashanthi Nilayam gates, even if not inside the mandir. And then we were so happy. We conversed about this incident and more Leelas of Swami. And then we walked towards Vidyavahini. And then one of the sisters very kindly shared an experience she had with Swami while he was in his physical form among us. He was in his wheelchair at the time. And on that day, the concluding bhajan was Tumuho Anathu Nathu Bhagavan. And she had in her heart a deep yearning that he come to her and give her Pada Namaskar. And he very, Swami, he was going here, there, everywhere. He almost left the hall. And then he takes a turn and comes all the way to her. And he has a long conversation with her and he blesses her with Pada Namaskaram. And with a lot of love and yearning, she thanks him profusely. And he says, Induku? Why? And she says, you've come all the way back, Bhagavan. That's why I'm thanking you. And he said, she was having this feeling inside her heart, singing this song. And he was like, Bhakta Sakha Bhagavan Annav Kada. You called me Bhakta Sakha Bhagavan. And then I couldn't control myself. A loud gasp escaped my lips. I was in tears. I was moved to no end. And then I was shivering. And then I thought, oh, Sai Mere, you're Prana Sakha Bhagavan to me. And that feeling never left me since then. I've been feeling that he's there in me, with me all the time, no matter what. And the next day, the third day of the meet, after morning Mangala Aarti and Darshan, all of us Vidyavahini ladies, we sat to one side quietly as the rest of the devotees took their darshan. And we were undisturbed, unmoved. We were left there to sit quietly, contemplate, and take in the peace of the place. And I just remarked to Sister Karuna, who was right beside me, that what an opportunity this is to sit there and enjoy the peace and take in this atmosphere into our hearts. And she just pointed to the ceiling. She said, "Do you notice this weird color of green that is painted in the ceiling, Srina? Swami had chosen that particular color because it is a color of healing." She used the word healing, and I was shocked because during the bhajans that morning, I was praying for healing. I was not well before and during my stay in Parthi, before coming there and during my stay. And I was praying for healing for me, for my family, for this entire world, whoever is going through illness. I asked for healing from Bhagwan, and she used that word, and it was like a kind acknowledgement from Bhagwan himself through her that I've heard your prayer. And what a feeling it was to have inside me. It completely transformed the way I looked at Swami now, the way I perceive him, and the way I pray to him. If these two small incidents have had such an impact on me, because I was part of a physical satsang, then imagine what all people everywhere, all around the world, working in different time zones, remotely, they need this reassurance. They need this kind of bonding, this connectivity with one of us. The connectivity to say that we are all part of one team working towards one goal, Swami's mission in Vidyavahini. Saira.
Wow, that's quite a deep experience, sister. Being constantly aware of his presence is a special grace he bestows, and all I can say is that you have become worthy of it, and hence a result. In fact, it reminded me of a hymn. Listen, let your heart keep seeking. Listen to his constant speaking. Listen to the Spirit calling you. So thank you, Sujna sister, for sharing those experiences. And now, if I may ask, Hariharan brother, why is it important to be always connected? Could you please share your thoughts on this, brother?
Sairam sister, and Sairam to all, and invoking Bhagwan's blessings. Well, Satsang is, a company of good people, as how we've been talking about it today. It also, keeps you grounded. And Swami is always emphasized on collective sadhana, whether it is in the form of Nagar Sankirtans or study circles and all of that. And when you look back at your association with Swami right throughout, and even before that, and even before you had your first darshan with Swami, you realize how he has always kept us grounded. He has always kept us in the company of very, very good people. We are what we are today because we have always lived and not strayed away. We have been in the company of good people all throughout. So let me, just share one of in my experiences, and it's also related to how I joined Satsang Vidyavahini way back in 2011. Uh, I've been very fortunate, as I mentioned, that I had the company of all Sai devotees. We were actually staying in Baroda. It's a small city. I did my childhood, my first job as well in that city, and it's been a long 35 years of stay there, where constantly we were in the company of Sai Sevadal, Sai officials, Sai Samiti. We had, and I was trained under a very good Balvikas Guru who actually brought me into this fold. We had a wonderful Sevadal and youth with whom I could work incessantly. And so, I was so used to participating in all of those activities. Being a small city, one could actually travel in 30 45 minutes to any place in the city and be a part of that occasion. And now events changed. Fast forward to 2010, and Bhagwan changed my life course. He got me transferred to Bangalore. And here I was in Bangalore, completely alone in a very large city, with even a bhajan center being far away, and of course, the pressures of your work ensure that you are not able to participate in many of those functions. And I kept praying to Bhagwan, what is it that I'm going to do now? You got me to Bangalore, but I'm now, probably not even participating in 1/10 of my activities. And well, I was of course fortunate to go to Parthi because now I'm in Bangalore. It was close by, and that's where I met some of my own, alumni brothers, and they said there is this program that we are having of Vidyavahini. Why don't you join? This was in February 2011, and I prayed to Bhagwan at that time. I said, Swami, please help me. I don't know what am I going to do other than my normal office work and all that. How am I ever going to be, doing the same kind of work that I was doing in Baroda? And well, it so happened that on that particular day, without my knowledge, of course, I reached Parthi, and there was this Vidyavahini workshop going on the whole day. And then in the evening, Bhagwan blessed us with a namaskar, and he spoke to all of us, and he went around all of us, all the say all the Vidyavahini volunteers present at that time. And that's when I resolved that this is my calling. This is the place where I have to be, and this is how I can work. And it of course dealt with the fact that I could now contribute more work, even though not physically, but virtually we could all work together, and I could be participating in Sai activity. So that's how I joined Parthi, and it's so much of Bhagwan's grace, because as all of you would know, that was probably one of the last few occasions before Mahasamadhi that happened in April that year. And I was just feeling very grateful to Bhagwan that he allowed me to have that last darshan of his, that last namaskar of his, just a month before, and he was clearly giving me a signal that this is what you have to be doing. And since then, my gratitude to Bhagwan always, that he has kept me grounded, he has kept me in this program all throughout, and all that is just because of all the wonderful people we have in the Vidyavani program. More importantly, it is also that it keeps us grounded, it keeps us in Sai focus. We are never away from him, because we are constantly trying to do some work of his as he commands us and as he instructs us to do. The same feeling I got some years later. I'm not sure which year it was, but I was suddenly invited on an impromptu inside-outside program of Radio Sai. And when I was talking on that, it was completely impromptu. And when I was talking, I just said, that we are all what we are because, well, we are in the company of good people. Swami has ensured that he has kept us always in the company of good people. We are not going astray anywhere. And that's the message that I wanted to convey. That what I had said on that day in that program, impromptu, of course, is something that I have cherished all my life till now. And it's all because of Satsang Vidyavahini program. Sai.
Thank you, Hari brother, for sharing those thoughts on being always connected with the Lord. Wonderful. I would like to bring in Kannan brother at this point. Would you like to share something on being constantly aware of his presence in your life?
Thank you, sister. I would like to start with the sloka from Bhajagovindam. Satsangatve nissangatvam, nissangatve nirmohatvam, nirmohatve nischalatatvam, nischalatatve jivan mukti. Meaning, the company of the good means one away from false attachments. When attachment is lost, the Maya ends. When Maya ends, the mind becomes unwavering and steady. Such an unwavering and steady mind is merited for Jivan Mukti. The very purpose of having Satsang in Sri Satya Sai Vidyavahini is well understood from the sloka and its meaning. We are all striving towards attaining such an unwavering and steady mind through the series of satsang sessions. My role in satsang started by doing similar Veda chanting in the second episode, that is in June 2021. Then after, I got an opportunity to broadcast a session in YouTube from the third episode onwards. I was trained for that, and I was doing it for continuously 7 or 8 months. And I used to participate in the practice sessions with the presenters during every episode, learned many things, how they all discussed, and many things were happening. And the message from Swami to me in the third episode was like, when I completed the first YouTube broadcast at 9 p.m., I should say, around the Aarti time, there was a downpour. I took it as Swami's blessings. Swami said internally in me that you should continue to do this, and I continued to do that to my best possible. Every time when we were broadcasting, I used to feel being at Parthi. You all must be knowing, like when any drama or any performance happens, we never know when it started, but things used to go seamlessly. Similar way, in practice sessions, there will be a lot of changes happening, network issues, this presenter is not coming, that presenter is absent, some problem in his network, he or she, please call, find out. All these things used to happen. But when the session goes live at 8 p.m., when the button is pressed, that's it. Everything would fall in place with Swami's blessings. I used to wonder how it is happening every time, because I used to feel that he is the doer and my body and my mind are just his instruments executing his command. Every minute I used to pray to him, Swami, please make this session a successful one. I used to watch the modem at a distance. I used to stare at it. Swami, please, today network should not go down, power should not go down. All these prayers will be happening inside me. But only once some issue had occurred, but Swami did some miracle and put me back on track. While the live was happening, I felt that someone was overriding me and did something in the browser without my control. I didn't know how that happened, but purely it was Swami's miracle. So these are some of the best moments during my participation in Satsang, especially from the back end. And this YouTube broadcast gave me strength and confidence to conduct similar webinars in YouTube with Virudhunagar government school teachers during the lockdown period. We had series of webinars and the response was quite good and encouraging. I thank Swami from the depth of my heart in enriching my skills and educating me to educate others. I pray to Swami that these kind of satsang should continue forever and more participants should come, participate, share their spiritual experiences and inspire others. Jai Saram. Thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you, Kanan brother. That was an awesome experience sharing. May this downpour of Swami's love continue to be in your life and take you to do higher things ahead. Akila sister, we would love to hear your reflections on Satsang and how it has transformed your way of looking at work in Vidyavahini.
Om Shri Sai Ram. Thank you, sister. It's always a pleasure to be talking about the importance of satsangs. See, we in Vidyavahini, we've always had this great tradition of having our morning sessions. We used to always have intense sessions where we would enrich ourselves, enrich the head and strengthen the hands. But the post-dinner session would always be devoted to irrigating the heart. So we in Vidyavahini would always look at all the 3 H's, the head, the hand, and the heart. And as the Vahini keeps flowing, it is now taking on a different avatar in the sense that we don't listen to one particular speaker come and share his experiences, but the various members of the Vidyavahini family themselves start sharing their experiences month after month. So it is becoming a more personalized one in the sense that we're able to put a face to the email IDs and to the mobile numbers that we otherwise usually interact with. So in that sense, the satsangs have evolved over a period of time. And talking about my own personal experience, one never knows in what satsang where we would usually get a message. We've only heard when we read in books that there are messages in a bottle. But as far as Swami is concerned, there are no messages in bottles. It's more direct. And it is always when we've seen when we read, whether it is Satyam Shivam Sundaram or any book, when Swami speaks, suddenly there'll be 1 or 2 sentences that would not make, actually, it would not be in context, but then we later on realize that some devotee, it would be sending an indirect message to him. So somehow Swami would weave in that message and then it would be a direct message to the person, only to the person who is listening to it. So in such a fashion, I would like to share a particular instance. Long ago, perhaps the late 80s, the present Radio Sai site used to be a building called the EHV building in Prashantinilayam. And it was there that there used to be very interesting satsangs that would happen soon after Swami's darshan in the morning. Around 10:30, there would be very eminent speakers. And the display would be somewhere around just behind the Purna Chandra. It would be displayed who is going to speak there on that particular day. So if we are in Prashant Nilayam, we would usually look at the speaker, and if it's someone who is very inspiring and someone whom we would love to listen to, we would just rush after the morning bhajans, after darshan and bhajans. So one such time I had just completed my MPhil, and I was ready to get into, I was preparing myself to go into university or a college for a job. But I somehow managed to get a job in All India Radio, which was, I think, Swami's grace. I don't know why it happened. I had always prepared myself to get to make a career out of education. So I was very confused, though I was not sure what to do, but I had got a job and I was quite, getting into it. So with this kind of a confusion, that particular day, I went there to Prashant Nilayam for one of my frequent trips there. And on that particular day, it was Shri V.K. Narasimhan who was giving his satsang in the EHV building. And he would definitely, having taken over as the editor of Sanatan Sarathi from Kasturi Uncle, he would regale us with all kinds of fantastic tales and close encounters with Bhagwan. So it would always be a delight to listen to him. And I just walked into that particular, soon after bhajan, I went to the satsang. And believe it or not, the first thing that he started saying is, if you all recall, he retired as the editor of Hindu before he came to Prashant Nilayam and started serving Swami there. So the first sentence that he began is, today I'm going to talk to you about my own career and my life, the kind of direction that it took. I always wanted to become a college lecturer, but somehow I ended up in Hindu in the media as a journalist. And I really did not know whether it was a dream or whether it was whether I was hearing what I was actually hearing, because it was so much contextual. And he went on and he said, when he came to Swami with this kind of a dilemma as to why he had to switch careers, Swami said, if you don't get what you like, you better like what you get. So it was such a direct message, and this was one of the impact that that particular satsang had on me. And I'm very grateful to Bhagwan as I look back at all these years that he helped me have a career in education as far as the Satya Sai organization is concerned, but also have a thriving career in the media. So I was able to straddle between both the worlds. So this was a blessing that he had given through a satsang. It was an indirect message through another speaker, but it was straight to help me get out of my dilemma. So one never knows which satsang is going to give a message to whom, in what form. So I suppose these satsangs do help us to get to go beyond and to look for, you don't have to seek any message, it just comes to you at the most opportune time. So I am sure that there are many people, just as we have benefited by listening to so many, that these satsangs would definitely touch people's heart. And thank you for permitting me to share this anecdote with you all. Thank you, and Sai Ram.
Sai Ram, so lovely, sister. Satsang as a channel to irrigate our heart. What a beautiful concept. Harir Data, Harir Bhokta, we always say. He gives and he enjoys. So we accept the prasad of whatever lands in our lap most gratitude. Thank you for sharing those thoughts, sister. We now invite Sanjay brother to share his thoughts on what satsang actually means to him. Let us hear his interesting take on this.
Om Shri Sai Ram to everyone. Thank you, sister. And thank you, Vidyavani, for giving me this opportunity to talk in this program. I'm thankful to everyone. My humble pranams to Lotus feet of Bhagwan. With this, I feel satsangs are very important, and they're important to connect to our beloved Bhagwan Swami. And with this, everybody is talking and providing their experience. And with this, we connect to Swami. And some of the experience, what we heard in this satsang itself, there are several direct and indirect indications. And sometimes they are pretty much strong. And sometimes they are very subtle in nature. And we need to always listen to these direct messages from Swami. And Vidyavani is one such portal wherein we serve to Swami. And Satsang is a portal wherein we connect to Swami and gives us an opportunity to connect to Swami as well. With this, I just would like to narrate one of my small experience which I had last year during the peak COVID time. We could not travel for 2 years, and we were planning to travel, and there were so many difficulties booking tickets and having all our vaccination certificates and all that. So after struggling a lot, I could book ticket. And then of course we also need to have the vaccination certificate, and somehow my vaccination certificate was available and my wife's was still due, and still there was waiting period of another 2 weeks, and whereas our ticket or traveling was a week after. And strangely, we contacted the vaccination center, and they said they cannot do anything. And all of a sudden, a call comes from nowhere, and vaccination, and they say that they have arranged a vaccination date for my wife, and that is on Tuesday, again on 27th, again adding to 9, and we don't know, and that's again at 20 kilometers from where we live. So normally, always you get a vaccination center very close to where you live, but this was like a call from nowhere, and they called us 20 kilometers away from our home. We went there, and again the vaccination booth where we took vaccination is again 36, which is again adding to 9, and not just that, and then we started our travel after a week, and everywhere, our boarding pass booth where we collected was booth 9, and all our tickets were adding to 18, 27, or 63, something like that. All were adding to 9. And after arriving to Perthi, where we stayed here, again, that was added to 9. So there was a clear message from Swami that he's taking care of each and every step of us, and he's taking care of everything. So such a subtle message, but at the same time, it is a strong message. So with this, this is my small experience. I would like to thank everyone for giving me this opportunity. Thank you, and Sai Ram.
Thank you, Sanjay brother, for your musings on the Sang with the higher self. In fact, one of the benefits of Satsang is this commitment to awaken and uplift and enlighten ourselves. And it is a commitment to know the truth. We now invite Vasanta sister for a quick recollection on the effect of Satsang in her day-to-day life. Vasanta sister.
Sairam everyone. I'm very happy to hear all these wonderful experiences in Satsang. And I think all these Satsangs open platforms to all of us some way or the other. And for me, these Satsangs are inspiring, and I always get something to get connected to Swami and his teachings from these experience, by listening to all these experiences of people. And I relive those wonderful moments with Swami's physical proximity, and I get strength back to continue the journey. And wherever there is a satsang, normally I don't miss. And I used to listen to several satsangs way back in Muscat. Every weekend, every Sunday, we used to have a satsang, and they used to call it as a study circle. And I have learned so many stories, and I have learned so many teachings of Swami about that. And I tried my best to practice them into my life. I was a Balvikas teacher and SSC teacher in abroad for several years. And somewhere in 2015, due to some personal problems and change of place and everything, I had to stop my classes for few months. But the teacher in me was missing something, and I was feeling miserable, and I was thinking what to do. And then on September 5th, Teachers' Day, all my old students were wishing me. I was feeling more bad because I'm unable to do anything, and people are still calling me a teacher. And here I had to share a small experience with you all. And that day I had a dream. I was standing along with another 3-4 ladies on one side, and then there were many other ladies on the other side with colorful saris, and we were standing in a in front of a big building, and there was a big balcony on top of it, and everyone is looking at the balcony. On the left side of it, there were students standing, and then opposite to that, there is a a door decorated. And suddenly the door opens and Swami comes and he looks down and keeps the hands like this. And he looks at me and he says, Teacher Amma, happy Teacher's Day. Oh, and then I looked at him and I said, I'm no more a teacher. I'm not doing your Balvika's classes anymore, but I feel bad. Then he called one student and the boy came with a pink chart paper rolled in his hand. And Swami opened that thing and he showed a big design. I could not make out the design from the distance. So again, Swami rolled that chart paper and he threw it down. And everybody was trying to catch that chart. It fell on my hands. I opened and I saw it was Vidyavahini logo or the emblem. See, I joined Vidyavahini in 2012, but I never concentrated on the logo or the emblem of Vidyavahini. I changed many roles and things. So that was just a dream, but it has changed my path and it gave strength to me to go on one particular direction. Before I did several roles and I changed from one to one, and every role was a challenging thing. And then again, it was a good learning also for me. But after the dream, I joined the training and then I attended the training and I visited some of the schools, and I have seen all these volunteers working selflessly, Vidyavahini volunteers, and highly qualified, highly educated people. But their sadhana is not the qualifications or anything. Their sadhana is commitment of time. That I liked, and I listened to many of those people, and then again through their experiences also, I understood for them the sadhana is the commitment to Swami. So I thought I should learn, not just listening to these satsangs, and there should be a message to take forward and practice into it. So that's what I learned. And then I tell everyone, just listening won't help. We have to take something and we have to try and put it into practice. So satsangs are very important for me and they inspire, and I really enjoying listening to all these experiences. And I thank you all for giving me this opportunity to take part in this satsang. Thank you very much, and Sai Ram.
Thank you, sister. It's always a pleasure to listen to these experiences of intense connection with Bhagwan. And as you rightly said, our roles are defined already by Swami, and it is up to us to take the mantle and perform it to the very best of our abilities. Thank you so much. May we now request Ramachandran brother to share from his vast repository of experiences at Vidyavahini the benefits of satsang. Over to you, sir.
Yeah, I hope the lotus feet of Lord Swami. After listening to the I reinforce the fact we need faith and surrender to and be aware that we are only instruments and eager to face all challenges. We are all lucky to have what an opportunity to serve me through his program. And he also says that we are those who sadhana with all dedication, without expectation. So I'd like to about personal experience. I found standing by me.
Sai Ram Ramachandran brother, your audio is not very clear. Sairam, could you please switch off your video and then speak? Probably it might be clearer.
Yeah, I will switch off my video.
Could you please switch off your video
Yeah.
and then speak?
Yeah, yeah.
Probably it might be clearer.
Can you hear me now? Better?
Yes, yes.
Is it better now? Sister?
It's better, sir. It's better. Please
Yeah.
carry on. Yes, yes.
Okay.
It's better, sir. It's better. Please carry on.
So I joined Vidyavahini in 2011 and was contributing to the best of my abilities in the various areas of the program. In 2014, I was part of a team which had visited a remote rural school for training. This school happened to be a part of the supported school, which was 160 kilometers from where I was staying in Bombay at that time, and 80 kilometers from the Thane city. Thane is basically an outskirts of Mumbai. So the plan was to meet at Thane because the Thane Samiti had arranged this training program, and we all were to meet there and then going together with all the other team members. We were about 4 or 5 of us from Vidyavahini and similar number from Thane Samiti. So I had traveled in my own car and parked my car at Thane and then joined the team in their cars to go to the school. It was a day-long program and my presentation was at 3 p.m. I was participating in the proceedings and at around about 12 p.m. I started getting a severe acidity-like pain in my stomach. I had never faced such a pain in the past and thought that it may be a stomach upset. So I was trying to find out what I can do, go to the washroom and all that, but it was not the case. And the pain continued to persist, and I quietly went out of the meeting room and took a lot of vibhuti, which I normally carry in my wallet. And then I came back quietly to the meeting room and sat there with the proceedings. I didn't want to tell anybody about it, just to not to disturb the program. So this was going on like this, and the lunch break happened. I was not even able to take lunch, but again, in order not to know, it's not be known to the other team members, so I little bit had lunch. Then at about 2 p.m. after lunch, I sweated for 5 minutes profusely, and then it stopped. But my pain continued. Somehow I finished my presentation at 3 p.m. in that state, and the program got over in the evening at around 5:30 p.m. And we all left back for our homes. We left back to Thane, and from Thane I picked up my car and drove back to my home alone, which is about 60 kilometers from my home. So all along I was in distress and having a feeling of nausea. So immediately after reaching my home, I consulted my family doctor, who recommended some, acidity medicines, and I took immediately, but no relief. So it was about 9:30 in the night, and then I decided that there is something wrong and I must go to the hospital. And I went to a local hospital with a known doctor, and I was immediately rushed to the ICU. And then my family was told that I had suffered a severe heart attack, probably during the time when the program was going on. So anyone who suffers an attack could not have survived for almost 10 hours, maybe from 12 p.m. to 10 p.m. till I reached my hospital, and drive home, in my car alone for about 60 kilometers. I don't think this can happen without Swami being by my side. Basically, it was a second life for me. And later I was diagnosed with 4 blocks, 85 to 90%. And I underwent angioplasty. And then, of course, I was out of the hospital in about a week's time. And that is how I am sitting in this panel, only because of Swami. So this is what I wanted to share. Thank you, Sairam.
Thank you, Ramchandran brother. That was certainly an amazing experience. The miraculous healing effect of doing seva. I mean, we are so thankful to Swami that you are healthy and you are in the thick of action at Vidyavahini. We pray for your long life and health. Thank you, sir. And we now invite Sister Rajashri to dwell upon her reflections on the benefit of satsang and how it has evolved in Vidyavahini over the months. Over to you, sister.
Sairam, sister, it's indeed a blessing. I didn't expect this kind of a sudden invitation to talk about this, because this also happens to be a very important day in my life. So I just thought, okay, I'll take this opportunity first to thank Swami. It was definitely a blessing when I think Karuna sister and Subbu brother called us to kind of play this role of coordinating and putting together satsang in May 2021. It was actually very difficult and challenging times what we were all going through. Not that we had any process or anything. A few names came as suggestions, and we were blessed to connect to many Sai sisters and Sai brothers across the globe. Like many participants today talked about, what was truly a blessing is witnessing the different teams preparing for this. Normally we connect with people only using work as an excuse, right? We don't, here we are trying to call them to share their experiences. Particularly, we knew that some of them were going through a very, very tough period. I was very hesitant. And of course, that made me pray more. That was one of my personal takeaway. And Swami gave the courage to talk to them, including those whom we had not met, or a few special invitees and so on. Sister Karuna actually seeded the thought, which became the theme for the initial 3 May, June, July months, like reaching out to Sai in everyone, connecting to Sai within you, serving with love, and so on. Something that started in a very, very simple way. I'm very happy to see that so many teams are coming and sharing how in Vidyavahini everyone is serving with love. And that's actually a very inspiring story to listen to. I think Dr. SSSVV was playing the role of an MC initially. And she herself was down with COVID in one of the sessions. And we said, can you pull it through? She said, yeah, it's fine. Swami is with me. And even for the preparation, she used to come with COVID and high fever. Brother Subbu used to carry all the burden of coming up with processes, so to say, creating multiple WhatsApp groups for every month for participants, meticulously communicating across different WhatsApp groups, and experimenting and training all of us on different technology like StreamYard. And like Kanan brother mentioned, we've never heard about that. And of course, Brother Kanan and Brother Keshava took over promptly later, came in to support and took charge of all the preparations. Overall, it was such an humbling experience. One is that we always think that what we are going through is a very challenging period. Of course, COVID was a challenging period, like many of us talked about. And when we started listening to the personal stories of some of the sisters, and how they are actually tackling bigger challenges in life, definitely. And more importantly, it's not just that they're facing it. Despite facing, they are facing it with confidence, no doubt, because Swami is there to guide us. But they were also reaching out to others. They were reaching out to others and actually helping them and supporting them and inspiring them. So those were very inspirational stories for us. I think our heart got completely filled. I fondly recall one of the later posts that Karuna sent us in WhatsApp, Sister Karuna sent us in WhatsApp, like saying, she reiterated the importance of keeping the flame of bhakti, glowing in all our satsangs. Because, as Akila sister said, that we always had, morning hall, head and hand, and evening heart. That used to be our satsang model, right? The head and hand get used all the time doing our work. When we work, we kind of keep our heart away. But it's not about bypassing the heart, and the satsang is the heart, should be the spotlight. So where every participant should come and talk about how they actually involve the heart as part of their seva. And she also gave a condition saying that reiterated the need for professional finance. That has become the signature of all SSSV offering, and therefore let it be there in satsangs as well. So we had to turn to different teams who were actually displaying the professional finance in everything that they do. I think the art and craft team took the satsang to a completely different level, connecting visual arts, music, dance, and then reiterating the art of teamwork. But it's not just the teamwork, it was watching them prepare as a satsang by itself. It's not only the teamwork, art of teamwork. We started bonding with every members whom we don't know even, like bonding with them spiritually, and in their case, very musically as well. AP, Orissa teams, and with many teams. They connected multiple themes like inner purity as a foundation. Each one came back with, when they were actually preparing and they were trying to come back with the theme connected to Swami and connected to their presentations and so on. Selflessness with a higher vision, collaboration as a way of achieve it. So everyone, when they were brainstorming and ideating, it was such a, it was like a miracle blessing for us. I mean, it was completely, we were blessed. I love the preparations of all these teams. And I still remember the preparation by the training team. I think I went late for the mock session because due to my work. And Sister Chandra repeated her entire script for my sake. She was passionately, must have presented it multiple times until then. How in Vidyavani, we all kind of stare at the mammoth task in front of us. We start with the self-doubt at the enormity of the task and then move on to surrendering to Swami and then moving on and so on. So it was like a journey what every Vidyavani volunteer go through. I mean, what we're doing in Vidyavani is not an easy task. It's volunteers completely from across the globe, over and above what they were doing and in their pay jobs or whatever it is, and coming together and solving such a, I think it's Swami. It's only with Swami's guidance and Swami's blessing and miracle is what's working through all of us. And to listen to each one of them was such a miracle. And to me, if you ask me what was out of the satsang, it's just to open our hearts and fill it with love. Often we think that if we are working hard, if you're working long hours. But satsang is that to remind us saying that this will become effortless just when we surrender to Swami and fill our hearts with love. I just want to end, with just a recent incident that when we went to Madurai for training our Virudhunagar government school teachers for the workshop. Of course, they all had to travel a long distance to even come for the training session. And at the time that it was they stipulated to start the training, less than 1/4 or less than 1/5 of the audience was there. Like all the key invitees, special invitees were not there. Obviously, a lot of confusion, a lot of chaos going on in our mind, not just outside. And Sister Karuna was saying that just close your eyes and chant Gayatri. And I think we started chanting the Gayatri. The very first Gayatri, somebody had come and waiting for us. We were continuing for about 10 or 11 times and we opened. And I don't know how it's kind of suddenly everything, all the chaos and confusion kind of disappeared and everything. That is filling our heart with love and just surrendering to Swami. And that is what satsangs are here to remind us. And I think many virtual satsangs and many more physical now, as I said, that despite listening to all these satsangs, my mind was still challenged with the, like a confusion and chaos when people were not turning up on time. And I think I had the privilege of Sister Karuna saying that chant Gayatri. I'm kind of chanting Gayatri every day for everything that is challenging. So these are like wonderful, wonderful, wonderful little incidents. Sir talked about, how something like the physical ailment that he was supported and Swami had given him the physical strength. Each one actually narrated a story here talking about, how, Shara and sister talked about, getting over anger. I have a lot of anger filled in my heart. So, that story is kind of connected to me today. So every time that when we listen to them, these little incidents of others and the stories, that fills our heart with more and more love. And with that, I just pass it back to you, Sister Saira.
Amazing, Rajesh, sister. Really gives us a lot of joy listening to all these intimate experiences, right? Like the mananam of our individual experiences just makes us realize how much blessed we all are. And I think most of the participants brought out the joy they found in, getting together for preparation of the satsang. So I just hope and pray that many more get this experience of joining satsangs, preparing for it and experiencing Swami's love. Because I think the satsang takes each of us to a very high vibrational field, where all the lower vibrations of egos, misunderstandings, anger, personal conflicts, everything just gets diluted, and we kind of existing in this field of compassion and understanding and this universal love. And at this stage, we attract the grace of the Lord, and we are able to perform tasks that far outstretch our limited human capacities. And that is what we miraculously are seeing and experiencing at Vidyavahini. In fact, Swami, in one of his discourses at a convocation in '96, has also stated, and I would like to quote, It is thus not enough if you are merely in the company of good people. You should also develop the sadhana of prema or love and become dear to the good people. It is necessary to be near and dear to the good people. I found that really amazing because Swami's, I mean, quote unquote, Swami is explaining that this is the true sadhana. If satsang is the fire that ignites a charcoal, which represents ignorance, then the sadhana of becoming near and dear to this sang is the fan that kind of increases like the surface area of the charcoal being ignited. And then the satsang and sadhana together can lead us to quicker realization. So with these thoughts, we would like to express our sincere regards and thanks to all the sisters and brothers who brought in their energies and shared those wonderful experiences for the uplift of all. We also thank all those who have joined us from here, our own country, and from across the globe to be part of this intense family sadhana. With that, we conclude, and we will now listen to the true meaning of satsang in our master's own voice. Jai Sai Ram.
Einstein invented so many arms and he discovered a lot and earned money. Finally understood the truth. What for all this ammunition is bound to kill people? Is it what I have learned? I could not join good company. I have become a scientist and cause for all destruction. Then he has gone through Bhagavad Gita.
Tell me your company, I shall tell you what you are.
Then he said, tell me your company, I shall tell you what you are.
As is
the company, so you become. You should make consider so. You should run away from bad company. You should run away from bad company and join good company.
Good company.
What is this good company?
Bad.
Who is good and who is bad? It's not possible for everyone to decide. This in Vedanta it's called Satsanga. What is this Satsanga? Sat means that. That is God.
So
we should have company of God. Satsanga does not mean the company of the bhajan singers or the workers. Among singers there are sinners also. You cannot decide who is good and bad. You be in the company of God.
Then
you will have proper feeling. When once you are aware of the fact that God is within you, you will not have good power.
Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. जीवन मुक्ति हरे रामा राम राम Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
ओम जय जगदीश हरे स्वामी सत्य साई हरे भक्त जना संरक्षक भक्त जना संरक्षक पति महेश्वरा ओम जय जगदीश हरे शशिवदना श्रीकरा सर्वा प्राणपते स्वामी सर्वा प्राणपते आश्रित कल्पलतिका आश्रित कल्पलतिका आपदान्धवा ॐ जय जगदीश हरे मातपिता गुरुदैवमु मरियन्तयु नीवे स्वामी मरि अन्तयु नीवे नाद ब्रह्म जगन्नाथ नाद ब्रह्म जगन्नाथ नागेन्द्रशयन ॐ जय जगदीश हरे ओंकार रूप ओजस्वी हो साई महादेवा सत्य साई महादेवा मंगलारति अंधुको मंगलारति अंधुको मंगल गिरिधारी ओम जय जगदीश हरे नारायण नारायण ओम सत्य नारायण 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 ओम नारायण नारायण ओम सत्य नारायण नारायण ओम सत्य नारायण नारायण ओम जय सद्गुरुदेवा नारायण नारायण ओम सत्य नारायण 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 ओम नारायण नारायण ओम सत्य नारायण नारायण ओम सत्य नारायण नारायण ओम जय सद्गुरुदेवा नारायण नारायण ओम सत्य नारायण 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 ओम नारायण नारायण ओम सत्य नारायण नारायण ओम सत्य नारायण नारायण ओम जय सद्गुरुदेवा शांति 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 समस्त लोकाः सुखिनो भवन्तु समस्त लोकाः सुखिनो भवन्तु समस्त लोकाः सुखिनो भवन्तु शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः जय बोलो भगवान श्री सत्य साई